Welcome to the Inspirational, Informational, and Transparent Aviation Careers Podcast. Today we're going to talk about living with COVID-19 as an airline pilot. Before we get started, a quick shout out to our patrons. I really appreciate what you've done for us. And for every $10 we raise through the Patreon account, we actually give away one scholarships guide. There's some challenges that are actually in this whole COVID-19 as an airline pilot, and there's also some challenges as a corporate pilot, etc. We're going to go over a few of those challenges and also give you a couple of tools and some advice to help you move forward in your career and also to help you navigate this whole COVID-19. By the way, this episode has been sponsored by Plain English Sim. Plain English Sim is the app-based aviation radio simulator. It's an easy way to gain radio proficiency, both VFR and IFR. Let's talk again about the challenges of living with COVID-19 as an airline pilot. There's a lot of different challenges, and some things you may not have thought of. So let's start with testing. First of all, testing challenges. If you're going to be working for an airline, if you're working for a corporate flight department, no matter what, one of the things that you have to take into consideration is that you really need to make sure that the results from your test are in before you go to work. This is really important. And we try to stress this a lot at the airlines, is that you don't want to get stranded if you get a test result while you're on an overnight. Say you're in another country, say you're somewhere else in the world, in wherever it may be, and you're nowhere near home. Well, you could easily get stranded. You don't want to have that happen. So really make sure if you're going to get tested that you get the test completed and get the results before you go to work. If you work often like I do, you may have to go and get the rapid test, which is a little less accurate, but at least you can get the results back before you go to work. The other test can take a couple of days. So one of the other things that you have to think about is when you're asking for the test, ask for the rapid test if you have to go to work right away. You really, again, don't want to get stranded. Also, another thing to take into consideration when you are getting tested is that some places will restrict how many times you can get tested. For instance, some places will allow you to get tested and then you can't get tested again for 10 days. I know it sounds crazy, but I've done some research into this where it is the policy of some of the different testing centers, the urgent care centers, that you can't get tested every day. Something to look into and be aware of when you're out there looking to get tested. So that's one of the challenges, actually getting tested and getting the results. Again, get the results before you go to work, and that's incredibly important. Also, some other challenges that you're going to run into, and that's the vaccine challenges. We all want to get vaccinated. Things are picking up. It's terrific. Things are really, really busy. Like I said, I've been really busy flying, and we all want to get those vaccines, but you have to be aware of something. This happened the other day. Had a client and who actually was a flight instructor and said, hey, I'm going to go and get the vaccine, and then I have a lesson in the afternoon. And I said, hey, wait a minute. You just said you're going to get the vaccine and you have a lesson in the afternoon. That isn't going to work. Remember this, you have to wait 48 hours after you get the vaccine before you can go back to work. So this person said, I'm going to have to cancel my vaccine. And these are tough decisions because think about it. He did that because of the fact that he wasn't going to get paid if he, went and got the vaccine and couldn't work. So those are, and I get it. I mean, those are some tough decisions that you have to make. Look into the policy of your company first, because you may find out that they might allow you to go get the vaccine and give you that 48 hours off. This is something, again, unique to this career, is that we need to have that 48 hours off after we get the vaccine. And I get it right now. I mean, look at all the different headlines. Airlines are actually canceling flights again because they don't have enough pilots. A big part of that is because of the ramp up of schedules that has happened so quickly. And thank God people are coming back to travel. But with that said, now you have to plan. Can I get the vaccine? Also think about this. If you're getting the vaccine that requires 2 shots, which most of them do right now, you're going to have to schedule another shot, usually about 30, the vaccine 30 days in advance. When you do that, you also will need 48 hours off before you can fly after you get the second vaccine. Another thing to think about in your schedule. So you really want to start looking at that and thinking about how you can get that vaccine. For me, I had to plan it way in the future. And that's another challenge, by the way, is that where I had to plan it on my vacation to be able to get the vaccine, I actually had to plan it about 3 weeks in advance. Turns out, another thing to look into is the fact that you may not be able to schedule the vaccine 3 weeks out. So therefore you get put back on a list, etc. Things are getting easier, I get it. So make sure you do your research as far as the vaccine. And there's some of the challenges there with the vaccine. So what if you do get sick? What happens next? Well, see, you could be sick and have COVID or not have COVID. There's a lot of different ways you can tell if you have it. There's a lot of guidelines on the CDC website. There's certain distinct things or some distinct items if you may have it or not. But a lot of times it manifests itself for many people as like a flu. So you don't know if you have a flu or not. So again, if you get sick, don't go to work. The bottom line. There's some simple things like, if you have a fever, that type of thing. And that's something that really is a clue. First of all, you shouldn't be going to work anyway if you feel sick. The scary thing about this disease is the fact that you could still have it and then be carrying it but feel fine and go to work and then transmit it to other people. So that's something that's really tough. And that's why a lot of people want to get the actual vaccine and also get tested as much as possible, so that they don't infect other people. And that's why there's certain issues as far as getting the actual vaccine and getting the test. And that's important to plan. So again, do some planning. Another thing to think about, and I hear this often, will this affect my medical? Well, we're going to have another video come out, by the way, talking about COVID-19, if you've tested positive and how it affects your medical. There are a couple things, you have to report if you've been sick, other illnesses on your medical. We're going to go into that in the other video, but yes, it does affect your medical. It may affect your medical in a very minor way. You just have to report it. But from the new guidance that's come out from the FAA, you can see that if you have a medical and you've actually were say put in the hospital, put on a ventilator, a respirator, you may have an issue getting that medical, or it may be deferred and it might have to go to Oklahoma City. So those are the kind of things you want to think about. Most importantly, the thing is, if you do have COVID-19 and you are an airline pilot, make sure you document everything. So will it affect your medical? Yes. If you get the vaccine, there's really nothing that's going to affect you. You just have to report things like going to the doctor, that type of thing. So make sure that you do document everything. Whether you get the vaccine, get the test, whatever it may be, keep copies of it. That's my advice. As far as the other thing, though, there's one more thing that's come up, and I've heard from some of you out there, is certain pressures from your company as far as flying is concerned. And I have people from many different parts of the industry, airlines, corporate, etc., where they have told me that they feel pressured not to get the vaccine and not to actually get tested. Well, I understand there's a scheduling issue. But if you feel in any way that you're pressured, you need to push back. If you have a union, call your union, etc., and say, hey, listen, I really want to get tested. I want to get this vaccine, but I just can't. You may be surprised, by the way, when you do look into it, there might be the opportunity for you to get that vaccine and get some time off to get the vaccine, because in some companies, they actually give you that ability to do that. So don't feel pressured by the company. Make sure that you're healthy. Keep yourself healthy. Hopefully this has helped a little bit as far as living with COVID-19 as an airline pilot. I know a lot of different airline pilots that have had COVID-19. These are some of the concerns. There's a lot of things that are unraveling because of this, but there's two big challenges. Testing. There's also the challenge of getting the vaccine. Make sure if you do get tested, you don't go to work until you get the test results back. If you do get vaccinated, you have to wait the 48 hours. And also, if you have to plan your second shot, make sure you remember you need some time off after you get that shot, that's the 48 hours. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed listening to this, and I hope that you took some of this advice to heart. If you're thinking about getting the vaccine or you're looking at getting tested, I really appreciate you listening, and don't forget to visit our sponsor, plainenglishsim.com. Again, that's the app-based aviation radio simulator, and it's really an easy way to gain radio proficiency, both VFR and IFR. And by the way, they're giving away some scholarships guides. We have that scholarship guide that has over $120 million in scholarships, and if you want one for free, don't forget you can go to aviationcareerspodcast.com/free, or if you have friends that want one for free, people like Plain English Sim and also our Patreons that are out there that have been giving us money, they're giving away those scholarships guides, and what they're doing is giving coupons and helping people move forward in their careers and their lives. But most importantly, what I want you to do is this: when this video stops and you stop listening to this as an audio, don't stop there. I want you to take one step today to move forward in your career and in your life. It could be something small. It could be listening to a podcast. It could be researching some of these things about COVID-19, watching some of the other videos that we have on COVID-19. Maybe it's doing the pilot interview course and listening to some of those videos we have out there, finding a career coach, etc. Just talking to a friend about the career. Talk to a trusted advisor about your career. But the most important thing you can do for me today is to take that one step today to move forward in your career and your life. Well, we'll talk to you next episode. Safe flying out there.